Gilbert Gottfried's going to stop by. He just lost his gig as Affleck the Duck.
Yeah, we haven't talked to him.
He should rub
since
please
then.
on himself.
Yeah, he's also, he wrote a book which
Really?
is just insane.
What is this book?
There seems to be some autobiographical parts to it, and he does mention me in the most unflattering way.
Really?
Yeah, I think I've had it with him.
What happened there?
Well, he'll be here at 8 o'clock, and I'll tell you. I mean, really. He writes
How could
about.
that happen?
I don't know. I got a lot of questions about his book, and about the Affleck Duck. Dummy. He had
to go and tweet some
bad
stupid jokes.
Yeah, they weren't even good.
No.
I'm gonna yell at him. I'm gonna yell at him like I'm yelling at you.
Gilbert,
Yes.
good morning.
Yes. Hi, morning.
It's nice to see you again, sir.
Oh, yes.
Rubber balls and liquor, I've heard.
Rubber balls and liquor.
It's an interesting
Hi.
title.
Gee, the press is crazy.
Oh, the
They're all
paparazzi.
over the place here.
They're everywhere.
Yes.
So, Gilbert, you've got the new book,
Oh, yes.
Jeff, you're on the air.
and what else is new? I mean, a lot's changed since last.
Oh, yes. It's just, I'm the new Pillsbury Doughboy. I just thought I'd announce that.
Wow, you are ever evolving.
Yes, it's just, insane.
Either way, you can look either way. It's
Oh,
okay.
yes.
I appreciate you dividing the time.
Yes.
All right.
This way, if you put them together and put in your glasses, it's 3D.
This is 3D on the cheap.
Yes.
Okay, sir. I'll let you go talk to Howard.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do.
Gilbert Gottfried wrote a book. It's weird because he was bragging to Will in the pre-interview. We actually pre-interviewed him about his book.
Yeah.
We've never had a book before. We have a book, and it's a weird book. Gilbert claims he wrote it himself, and then he told Gary in the green room he had a ghostwriter. So we don't know what he had. No one knows what he did.
Make up your mind.
Yeah.
Which was it?
Well, I would write, and then I'd send it in, and then
It was a combined effort. Right,
they'd
right.
start looking at it and going,
We have to put this in some kind of shape.
Yes, yeah.
Because you didn't graduate. You didn't even graduate high school, so
That's
you're
right.
you're probably
Yeah.
not a great writer.
yeah.
Right.
Did you type it or did you write it longhand?
Oh, I was writing it longhand, and then they'd have to decipher it, and then say, okay, this has gone on too long. This isn't long enough.
It's a strange book. I have a lot of notes about the book because
Yeah?
we've known Gilbert for a long time, and of
What
course,
is this book? What is the name of this book?
the
first
book
of
is
all?
it's Rubber Balls and Liquor.
Okay.
Rubber balls, in other words, a play on words where you
Yes.
rub her balls.
Rub her balls,
Which girls
but they
don't have balls. Right. Rub
Yeah.
her balls and liquor. How do you explain the title even? Rubber Balls and Liquor.
Yeah, that's from a kid's joke, like
Like a Jackie Martling joke.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
A few people said, "Where'd you get the title, Jackie Martling?"
Right.
And they said, well, it's how the old kids joke goes: is you ask someone to say rubber balls and liquor to
Right.
everything you say, and you go, "So I had breakfast today.
Rubber Balls and Liquor.
I had lunch.
Rubber Balls and Liquor.
What are you gonna do with your girlfriend tonight?"
Rubber Balls and Liquor.
Yeah.
And that's the joke?
And that's
And that inspired you?
Yeah, for a kid.
Did you like that joke when you were young? Is that the joke
Is that
you
your
loved?
first joke?
Well, back then you thought, "Oh, this is really risque stuff."
Listen, I defended you. First of all, I'll tell you.
Did you really?
I am mentioned in this book. There's one short story about me. I mean, if anyone's been better to this guy than me, I don't know who it is. I even defended him during that dopey Affleck Duck thing.
Well, that's true. You did say they shouldn't have hired him in the first place.
Well, I said that. I said, who would be
Yes,
nuts to hire this guy? He makes the N-word, everything.
He's offensive all the time.
Nobody is more offensive than Gilbert, and then they're shocked when he makes a couple of Japanese jokes during a tsunami. I mean, it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, although I still can't really talk about the.
Because you got to pay out.
Yes, yeah. So I still have to.
I see. So you can't disparage the Affleck company.
So basically, I'm like the head of General Motors coming on a show, going, "Let's not talk about cars."
It's incredible. I know that you must be broken up inside because I know it was several $100,000 a year for just one day's work. It was to record the Affleck commercials and say Affleck. it was a day's work, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
Not even. I mean, when
Yeah.
I say work, you got in front of a microphone and you went, Affleck.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the creative director would say to you, Gilbert, can you give me a little more passion when you say
Yes.
Affleck? And then you go,
Act
Affleck.
like you're scared.
Yeah, act like you're the duck and you're scared. I mean, it was probably the easiest money you ever made in your life, right?
Oh, sure.
And I know you love money.
Yeah. Me?
Yeah.
Where
I mean-
did you get this from?
I mean, you. It must be driving you crazy that your kids are getting older, and you've got to pay
You
for
lost
school.
Affleck.
And
yeah,
you, and
just that I have kids.
Right.
It's driving me crazy.
I know, and then you have. Gary's in the green room with Gilbert. He says,
Yeah.
"How old are the kids now?" Gilbert goes, I
yes,
always have a problem with this.
I had to think about it.
And then he goes, the girl is for. He doesn't even know her name.
Yeah.
is her
I don't even
name?
say daughter or son. I
No.
still say the girl,
The girl,
boy.
and the boy is. Are you not proud of being a father, or
I guess I'm still like waking up in a twilight zone.
it's hard for you because
yes.
you do have a difficult time connecting with people? I know this about you in real life.
yes.
So it must be weird. Like your wife's so normal and everything, and then like you are so disconnected. Does she have to yell at you all day and say, Gilbert, no, you have to go and take care of the kids now? Or-
Yeah.
yeah, because otherwise you would ignore them.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I still wonder if Gilbert can be left alone with the children.
Yeah.
They'd be like, they'd find them like starved to death
Right.
somewhere, and they go, and
Do you forget
I'd be
them?
going, oh, I didn't know they had to be fed.
Do your kids drive you crazy? I mean, is it so hard for you to stay connected and like go, I want to do something for them, or I want to help them, or?
I still think, I don't know these guys who say they, oh, it's such a great, I think it's a better experience for women. Like guys, you can enjoy it up to a point, and then you want to watch TV.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you give them affection? Do you hold them,
Yeah,
hug them?
up to a point.
Will you
and-
kiss them?
Okay, sometimes.
Yeah. Will you kiss your son? Like, oh, you're so cute, or will you just think that's gay?
Well, he's still not even 2 yet, so it's
Right.
not gay yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think? Have you decided whether you'd kiss your son like when he's 18? Would you kiss him on the cheek and kiss each other, or do you think that that's something that
Yeah,
should not be done?
I think they eventually decide.
Right. They figure you're gross and they're not going to kiss you.
Yeah, like, oh God, an old man is kissing me in the mouth.
The first thing I'm struck by, at first I thought rubber balls and liquor was about like jokes or something,
Mm-hmm.
but this is the story of your life, and yet you leave out huge hunks of things. Like you don't mention your wife except
Oh, yes.
at the end.
Yes.
You don't even mention how you met her. You don't mention anything about her. You don't mention anything about your children except you dedicate the book to your children.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah,
Well,
that
that's
he did.
something.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm like Danny Thomas.
Did you find yourself dedicating the book to your children because it's the right thing to do, not because you really wanted to?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know who else to dedicate it
You
to.
had
so I-
nothing else.
Right. So you getting back to Affleck for a second. I know you can't disparage the
Yes.
company, and you got to be careful because you get a payout of some kind. But this has got to be killing you because it was hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Oh, sure.
Did it cross your mind at any time that rather than waste your time on Twitter? I mean, if you could take it all back, would you? Because it's on dopey Twitter. I don't know how
You
many
never.
followers
You
you
certainly
have.
didn't dream that this was going to happen. when
No,
you did.
you know what it was like to me, the whole thing, and even with the way the media went. I was a bigger story than the tsunami.
Right. You
For
were.
a while.
You caused the tsunami.
Yes, it really was.
Do you think it was worth it in a way? Because didn't this put you back in the public eye, and it's kind of
You're a bad boy.
It's a bit weird promotion.
My Twitter account is like 100 times as much as it was before. And now whenever somebody dies, I get 1,000 Twitters going, hey, what do you got on this guy?
Well, are you afraid now to tweet? Because I've noticed your tweets have calmed down
Yeah.
in a sense. You have kind of reined it in, right?
Well, this is the way I kind of feel. Like people say, do you feel bad about it? And it's like, to me, it's both things. It's like, I feel like if I get up in the morning one day and I had cornflakes, and after that I lose my job and I'm on the news 24 hours a day condemning me, and
Right.
so the first thing you'd go is like, oh God, why did I eat cornflakes? And then you go, wait a minute, I ate cornflakes every day for years.
Right. Well, you make a good point.
Yeah.
None of
This
us like
is
cornflakes.
how you've been making a living.
Yeah.
You have every day of your life gotten up and made offensive jokes.
Oh, yeah.
So how
yeah.
can you rethink this now that they've discovered that you make offensive
Yeah,
jokes?
it's like I starred in The Aristocrats. I did the September 11 joke.
In a way, Gilbert, you now are in a weird position. You are not tweeting offensive jokes, and you were, for the first time that I know of in your career, you were forced to apologize.
That
yes.
was what I want to know. How did you write this apology?
Well, was the apology part of your settlement? In other words, you had to
I
make
don't
amends?
know where that was. That happened on that first day and a half where there was just.
Who advised you to make this apology?
I don't know. It was going back and forth, like with the agents and everything.
Oh, so this was like a major high-level meeting kind of
Oh, yeah.
situation.
First time you're in touch with your agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Was this an attempt-
First time my agent called.
Was the apology an attempt to hold on to the Affleck account for you?
I don't think so. I don't know what it was. It's like that. Those first 2 days, I was a daze. I was like,
You were in a daze.
yeah,
Right.
I was going,
You didn't know what had happened.
like what the hell? After everything I've ever said in my career,
I mean, you've used the N-word on our show. You do, things about Jews,
yeah,
about
the
Hispanics, the
Molestation,
Holocaust.
He does it
So
all.
I
Right.
was thinking, watching it on the news every day and all over the place, I was thinking, okay, so they never saw the Aristocrats. They never watched the roast.
You started
and,
defending yourself in your
yes,
mind.
and they never once heard of your show.
Right.
Yeah, it's like...
Well, now you were involved with a corporation.
Yeah.
See, it never would have been anything except the fact that Affleck is did you know that 75% of their
No,
business is in
no.
Japan? You knew nothing about the company.
No.
Some celebrities actually look into the company they're endorsing. You
Oh,
don't even
please.
care. I mean,
Yeah.
who
you
knows
think
what?
he's investigating
Oh, yes.
Houdini?
Did you investigate Houdini? Do you now look into where most of the Houdinis are sold?
Although this is something even before all this happened to me that I kind of was understood about Kathy Lee Gifford,
Right.
who got in trouble with the sweatshop.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was thinking everyone was condemning her, and I thought, well, I don't know. Does every celebrity who does a commercial,
No.
what does he hire the CIA to check into it? It's
no.
like,
You, of course not. So you didn't know this. Does the Affleck company call you? How do they fire you? Like, how does that all occur?
oh, see, now it's getting into more and more.
Yeah, but I mean, do they call you directly or an agent?
Yeah, I found out for sure through the agent.
Through the
Yeah,
agent.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And so the apology, your agent says, Gilbert, we got to do damage control.
Yeah, I think this was a whole across the board. And the funny part about it is you realize then that, you know, the media needs something to talk about, so they
Right.
make it into so much. This is what I loved about when they reported it. They said it was comments and remarks that Gilbert Gottfried made. Because if they said jokes he made, people would go like, what? So he's a comic making jokes.
Were you afraid for your life at this point? Because it got so heated that
Oh.
people were hating you so much. Did you get nervous?
The first 2 days on the Twitter account were like psycho emails. I think these are these people who live there and are waiting.
Right.
And those were psycho. We're going to kill you and your family. You should die.
You were cyberbullied.
Yeah.
Right.
And then after that, it was just this overflowing of fans going, you know, hey,
You're making
this
a
is,
joke.
Yeah, you're making
Right.
a joke. This is what you do. And
But the apology itself was so not like you. Did you actually write it yourself, or did someone
Yeah,
compose
we said it wasn't your
okay,
word.
I'll be perfectly honest.
Thank
That
you.
was like out of the machine, you know. Apology 176. Okay.
Here it is.
Yeah,
I
yes.
sincerely apologize to
Yes.
anyone who was offended by my attempt at humor regarding the tragedy in Japan.
Yes, it was.
I meant no disrespect, and my thoughts are with the victims and their families. Were your thoughts really with the victims and their families?
Anything about this that is true.
All right. Don't people know your thoughts are only on you and how to
Oh
save
yeah.
money?
Well, it's kind of like when Mike Tyson has an apology or something released to the press,
Right.
And it's so eloquent.
Have you made a tsunami joke since? Now that, I mean, you are fired from Affleck, you might as well.
Yeah, I made a couple.
You did. You're
yeah,
still doing
a couple
it.
of other.
Right. So your thoughts are no longer with the families? I mean,
I sent out. I sent out a Twitter on Hitler's birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a tremendous cut in your income because
Yes.
I don't know what percentage of the Affleck commercial played into your income, but I would imagine it was pretty
big hit.
intense.
Yeah.
Pretty
Big hit.
big hit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you're upset about that, I have to think.
Oh, of course.
Right, because that was good. Do you think you're able to get any more commercial work after an incident like this, or are you now blacklisted? Are you persona non grata?
It's a funny thing because, I mean, the more. See, this is what I realized, too, about. Not that I just realized it about the media. Is for a while, like the tsunami was on every minute of the news.
Right.
And then one day I wake up and most of the news was taken up one morning by
Sorry.
Chris Brown threw a chair backstage at
Right.
Good Morning America.
Right.
Did that take the heat off you?
A little bit, and then you see that the newscasters are using the same emotion and same urgency
Right.
talking about Chris Brown.
Right. What was your best tsunami joke out of all of this? When you were in the midst of this, what did you feel?
Were there any that you felt
Right.
were of great quality?
Right. That were worth.
See, that's the funny thing. They picked out two that came across as the most mean, and most of them were really dumb.
Right.
When you really
I thought
saw
that's
them.
what I said. He said those aren't even the least bit offensive compared to what else he does.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I did one, and I mean, I wish they would have had this one
Yeah.
and introduce it with that same thing of like, we're warning you ahead of time.
Right.
One of the jokes I made was, what do Japanese Jews like to eat?
What?
Hebrew National Tsunami. You know,
What?
Which is as dumb a joke.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be salami, like
Yeah,
tsunami.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
That's not
That's
even.
going far.
It's-
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like if people could take offense to that, it's how stupid
You are.
and basically unfunny. the
Right.
Like, who's the top pop singer in Japan? Gwen Tsunami. You know, it was like I was doing jokes like that. So-
Why waste your good material on Twitter?
Yeah, why use
Right.
my A stuff?
The other impression I get is that while you're on Twitter, like someone said to me, do you know Gilbert follows all the people from our show, even the interns and all that? And I go, don't you realize Gilbert doesn't work the Twitter? He has some
No.
guy who you call him up and go, here's a joke, put this up.
And 99, I have about like 50 Howard Sterns and
Right.
60 Robins. and-
Following you.
Yeah, so it's.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, so the Twitter is good for you for business, and yet
Yes.
the Twitter is the thing that really got you in trouble.
Oh, it's a scary time period.
Do you think
you
this is the
do.
first time?
Yes.
Do you think this is the first time someone actually got fired for tweeting?
No, a few. I've been watching this now. Like, one guy, he was in Detroit, and he was stuck in traffic or
Right.
something, and he was doing stuff on his Twitter.
Right.
And he said, this is the Motor City, and yet nobody here knows how to drive. Which is a pretty funny joke.
Right. Uh-huh.
Certainly funnier than any of the ones I put up.
Yes.
But I think Chrysler started suing his company, and he immediately was fired.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
And then there was some teacher who was like, she didn't even put her name down. She
Right.
just was complaining about her job, like loud kids, and she got fired. They found out.
That's Twitter's dangerous.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
scary, isn't it?
And one guy was at an airport, and he started complaining about the airline because they had delays, and he was there for a few hours. He got fired.
Wow.
It's a weird time period.
It
But
is.
you know what, Howard? You had started to go down this road. You didn't lose other commercial
No.
work that you had.
No,
it didn't
not
spread.
the Houdini account.
And you're still the parrot for Disney, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they had no
And
problem with your
so-
jokes.
And the funny thing too is the people who really blew it up in the beginning and were the most offended, most shocked, most outraged were first TMZ,
Right.
yes, and then Perez Hilton.
Yeah, he got
Oh,
upset.
stop.
Yeah, he draws penises on
On little
celebrity
kids.
faces.
Yeah, right. You know, at times I've had Perez on, and I said to him, there was a point where he was relentlessly making fun of Bruce Willis and Demi Moore's kid.
Oh yeah.
Or so, oh no, it was Ben Stiller's kid or somebody.
Somebody's
Adam
kid.
Sandler's kid.
Yeah.
That's who it was. And I said to him, gee, what'd the kid do? I mean, you know, and he's since rethought all of that and
Right.
he has grown, I guess, as a person.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so for him to be
But for
outraged.
him and
Oh,
TMZ,
yeah.
Yeah.
the
And
bastion
TMZ,
of
I
good
mean-
taste.
And he'll draw, like, cum stains on someone's mouth and say that this guy's gay, and it's like, oh, you're the arbiter of good taste.
yeah,
So-
but you offended him.
Yes, yeah, yes.
Ultimately, though, if you could take it all back,
Yeah.
would you? Because you'd want the money from the Affleck
Yeah.
commercial, right? I mean, you would take it all back if you could. If you could go back in a time machine and say, hey, but you make it. You make a really good point. How could you ever go back in time and take? This is something how you make your living. Every day you're
Oh
offensive.
yeah, it's like I said. I said that before about the cornflakes.
Did
It's
you
like-
get so nervous during this? That, was there a certain point? Because when it's really bad, now you can look back on it and
Oh,
go, you know
yeah,
what, I
yeah.
survived it.
Yes.
But were you starting to get neurotically crazy, like locking the doors, like, oh my God, I'm giving up
Well,
show business?
It was.
The worst I ever saw you was when you got ill.
Oh, yes.
And you were going to give up show business, and that was no bullshit.
And then a day later,
You were back on
Yeah,
stage.
yes.
And so did you get to the point, like, that's it, I've had it? I mean, the real
needs
Gilbert.
this?
I was definitely going around the days for
Right.
about 2 days there when I got because the first people to call you are the psycho Twitterers and
But not only the
emailers.
Twitterers, but even the agents are so concerned,
Yes,
and the people,
yeah.
and your wife was probably concerned, and everyone's like, oh my God, oh my God.
And I became one of those people where I'd look out my window and there were cars parked
Right.
with like reporters and stuff, and I'd go.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they would jump out of cars with camera crews.
Yeah.
Or they'd be hiding in like doorways and they'd run out.
Wow.
What was the kookiest thought you had during it? Like, I can imagine at some point you went, maybe I should go volunteer in Japan, like actually fly over. Like, did you
Yeah,
get?
go over and pick up some debris.
Did you get to the point where you said, "That's it, I'm leaving show business because I've got enough money, I can't take it anymore."
I didn't think I was going to leave show business at that point. I thought show business had already left.
You thought your career was gone.
Yeah. And also, I remember the first time I stepped out of my house, I thought, it's going to be like a Frankenstein movie, with pitchforks.
They're going to chase you out of town.
And then you realize the average person has a life.
Right, and they don't really care all that much.
Yeah, they come up. They still want their picture taken with you. Still want to...
We should have said we couldn't have Gilbert on anymore.
That would have been...
That would have been really
You
good.
should have banned him from the show.
I was shocked to. I was actually shocked to read in Rubber Balls and Liquor.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I'm shocked that. I mean, I was kind of anxious to hear about your parents. Because when I saw you in the hospital with your mother, I knew something weird was up, and your sister was there, and I don't know much about your father. I mean, you do say in Rubber Balls and Liquor that your father, I didn't know this, was a hardware store guy.
Yeah.
And he could fix anything. And then when times were really bad, you weren't rich people, that your father would sell airplane glue to kids because he knew they liked to get high off
You're
it.
kidding.
No, he had like one of these stores that nothing got sold in this.
Right.
I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere. There was no reason for a lock
Where
on the
was it?
door. It was in Coney Island, but
Okay.
in like a side area there.
Do we
not
know
No
near,
foot traffic whatsoever.
yeah, not near the cyclone or
He
anything.
was not a great businessman.
No. And one day, people started sniffing glue around that time, so they passed a law that was a really dumb law
Right.
that you could only sell glue to kids if they bought a model kit.
Right, I remember this.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that was somehow saying that, they're gluing a model with it.
Right.
And he had like one airplane model that was there collecting dust for all those years.
Right.
And they would buy that.
Drug addicts are coming in to buy model planes.
Yes, they would buy a model plane. And then he would like count to 5 and walk around the corner, walk around the side of the store where there was a garbage can,
Right.
reach in, and there would be the unopened kit, and he'd bring it back in the store, dust it off, and sell it.
Oh, my goodness.
I think he sold it like about for a couple of years there, the same kit.
Do you think that's why you're so afraid of losing money and
Oh,
spending
yeah.
money? Because you saw your father actually grabbing the modeling kits?
Yes, yeah, he made quite a profit.
But there was nothing really revealing, though. We don't learn about your relationship with your mother and all of that, do we? But you're never
No.
gonna open up about that.
Somebody said to me who read the book, who knows me, they said, there were parts in the book where it looked like it was getting touching and
Right.
starting to reveal something and a little warm, and then it would quickly turn to like childish and immature and obscene.
Yeah, it's so frustrating with
Yeah.
you. I want the real Gilbert. I want to know every. Well, there
You
are
want to
some,
get inside.
And the
but
guy
there are
said-
revealing moments in
yeah,
the book.
the guy said it's like talking to you in person.
Right. Well, you know what? I thought Gilbert would at least get emotional about me somewhere in the book. So I'm only mentioned in one paragraph.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's Gilbert's take on what happened at the hospital. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let me hear this.
I mean, first of all, I will tell you, when I went to see Gilbert in the hospital, it was out of true compassion.
Absolutely.
I said, no
Very
one's visiting.
concerned,
No one
right.
cares about him. No one's visiting him. I mean, he had
You actually
nothing.
recruited others to visit
Oh,
him.
yes.
And
It
I
was-
said, this guy is at least going to be emotional in the book about that. He goes,
I couldn't get the orderlies in.
Howard Stern, the king of all media, came to visit. He didn't want to be noticed coming in and out of the hospital, so he put on sunglasses and a baseball cap, which even in the middle of my pain and suffering struck me as the stupidest fucking thing I'd ever seen. After all, he is a ridiculously tall person with a ridiculously wild head of hair. So it's not like a pair of sunglasses and a baseball cap are much of a disguise. At 8 feet tall with that great big nose, it looked like the number 7 was visiting me. But I recognized Howard right away. It helped. I guess that I knew he'd be coming because Robin Quivers had visited a day or two before, and they needed something new to talk about on the air. This way, at least, they could compare notes and fill a couple of segments. I mean, it was pathetic. Gilbert was worried about the papers finding out that he was in the hospital so
Yeah,
long.
oh, no
Not
one
one
gave a
paper
shit.
even wrote a fucking thing.
Remember, the first call we got was don't say anything.
And then the second call we got was a couple of months later. Said, "Can someone please mention that I'm in the hospital?"
And
I mean, come on.
I remember I was so proud. It was such a victory. Years later, like the Post wrote The Curse of Saturday Night Live, one of those real dopey articles.
Yeah.
And one was Gilbert Gottfried hovered near death. And so I thought, see, I made it.
I don't think Howard particularly wanted to be at the hospital. He didn't say much and he didn't stay long. I stayed forever. It felt like years.
Didn't speak.
No. He's the
Gilbert
one who
just
didn't talk.
laid there.
Yes.
And moaned, "I'm out of show business. I wanted, what's
What
it
are
all
we
mean?"
doing with our lives?
It's like Robin on her trip. He took one look at my open stomach and turned red. Right before he left, yeah, Gilbert showing me his wound. Right before he left, Gilbert, all they did was an appendectomy, and they couldn't close the wound. He's so
Yes.
unhealthy.
Oh, God.
And I have to see that. Right before he left, Howard asked if there was anything he could bring me. My eyes filled up with tears, the way they do whenever I think about receiving some free shit. I ran through a long list of things I could use, and I kept updating that list from week to week until finally Howard just sent me a $2 pair of slippers and called it quits. He never again made the mistake of asking me if I needed anything. And that is my mention in the book.
Absolutely true.
That's it.
Absolutely true, though.
But you do mention a couple of things that I'm interested in. I got to ask you about because
Yes.
I didn't know this about you. First of all, you described that you one night did actually pick up a stripper at a strip club and bring her home to your apartment,
Yes. That was amazing.
and that you fucked her and you came so fast. And you're so odd that the next night when you called her to come back, she wouldn't even pick up the phone.
Yes. It was, I somehow miraculously got a stripper up to my apartment. How this happened, it was like, that's one of those things like, if you are writing a series, they have certain rules with characters that you can't break.
Right.
You know, like if Fonzie did a ballet, you couldn't use it. He would never
Right.
do it. And this is something that would never work. And so I went up, and this was a stripper I'd seen naked before.
Right.
So
right.
and
Were you at the club when you picked her up?
well, we were at the club, and then it was at some event I got hired for.
Was she impressed that you were the comic at the event, so therefore you were able to show her you were famous?
I
Was
guess
that it?
so, yeah.
Because that doesn't work for you normally,
Yeah,
right?
no. I was hosting this thing.
Like, you're so gross, fame doesn't even help you
yes.
get laid. Wow, okay. You're so
That's-
disgusting. I mean, because any
I-
famous guy can get laid.
I could be at the Academy Awards.
Right, winning.
Yeah.
So somehow this stripper went for you.
Yeah, somehow we met for like lunch or something, and then got her up to my apartment, and I'm on the couch with her, and we start making out, which I'm going out of my mind.
Are you the guy who slams his tongue down a girl's throat right away?
Yes.
Like, you don't even have any couth.
No build-up.
Yeah, not that light kissing stuff.
You're like, like you're not really good
Yeah,
at it.
it's like the Roto-Rooter.
Right.
It's like,
You don't have any compunction to sort of I'll win her over with my great
Yeah,
kissing,
no,
soft
no.
light kisses. Nothing.
I've got her here. I've got to do this now.
Right.
Where I put on romantic music and the bar turns around.
Did the stripper say to you, like, oh, can you just not put your tongue?
Yeah.
Like,
So I was on the couch with her, we're making out, and I'm thinking all the time, going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm making out with this girl, this stripper.
Was she really
I
good
saw
looking?
Yeah, she was really hot looking. And then the clothes start coming off, and she's wearing this like Victoria's Secret type underwear. you know,
wow. So she was prepared.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, and then I was totally, and
Are you like, I'll get as much as I can before she comes to her senses?
yeah, yes.
This is going to end at any moment. Let me get as much as I can.
So you were probably hard as a rock. I mean, she looked good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Do you get naked as well?
yes.
Yeah. Like you don't leave a shirt on? 'Cause are you trying to hide your scar from your operation?
I
gonna
think
say-
this was before.
Okay.
Pre or post?
Yes.
So you
I heard, if I could do one sidetrack, I heard a story that Marilyn Monroe every now and then would pick up like just guys off the street, like elevator operators and cab drivers and stuff. And they would start making out with her. And when it was time to actually fuck her, they would get a look on their face like, oh my God, I'm about to fuck Marilyn Monroe, and they'd lose their heart on because they were under. But in my case, it was the opposite. I get into bed with her, and she's totally naked, and she's got one of these stripper asses that is like rock
Perfect.
hard.
Yeah.
That's like, it looks like a, like
bubble.
It looks like a cartoon in Playboy.
Or like half a soccer ball. It's like
yes,
perfect.
yes,
Yeah.
perfect ass.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was getting ready to do her doggy style.
Fascinating book.
Yes. For you
What a life.
intellectuals out there.
I can't believe you needed a writer to help you with this. So you're getting ready to fuck her.
And there's her ass up in the air. That's just like perfection.
Right.
As is the rest of her.
Mm-hmm.
And if I say, I get my dick in.
Right.
And if I say I lasted like a full 2.5 seconds.
Do you even
I'd be
use a
like-
rubber? It was like boom.
Yeah.
Do you ever use a rubber? Or no, you know rubber.
Yeah, I put on a rubber.
Okay, yeah.
But I put my dick in, and like I don't know if I even moved it once. I was
I know the feeling.
I moved it in and just like exploded.
With other women,
Yeah.
like with your wife, are you able to hold out a little bit?
Yeah, like with other.
I'd pay anything to see you fuck.
Yeah. I should that would be
That'd be a-
sex tape that would sell.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
And yeah, I put my dick in. I think my dick was there half a second inside her, and boom.
I've had the same thing happen a million times.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
she's doggy style, and she then looks over her shoulder,
like looking at you like a gnat.
like shocked and horrified.
Right.
That's it?
She's like, hey, maybe this guy doesn't look good, but maybe he can fuck. And like,
Yeah.
oh, it's over.
That's
And she's like just this horrified look, like
Did you
she saw the
apologize?
Loch Ness monster or something, and she goes, "Did you?" and I'm there like in total ecstasy.
Right. You feel
I'm there
good.
like, yeah.
What about you?
Nothing for you.
Yeah, she could. I like.
Did she get out of the apartment, or did
Yeah.
she let you do it? Why didn't you just do it again? Like, why couldn't she say, hey, listen, you're so hot, I came.
I think I was exhausted.
You were drained.
I think she could not believe how quick.
So did she get dressed and leave? Like,
Oh, yeah,
You talk
yeah.
about a walk of shame. That's the walk of shame. Coming out of Gilbert Gottfried's apartment after he blew his load. And so you describe in the book that you called her the next day.
Yeah, I say that like when she was leaving the place, I talked about seeing her again, and she gave me a look that says that like without saying anything says, I'm hot looking now, but in a year from now I'll be old and washed up, and I'll be found dead in a trunk or in the Hudson River, either by having my throat cut by my motorcycle boyfriend, or I'll be dead of AIDS. So I'll kill you in a second without thinking about it.
But you did call her again.
Yes,
and
I
she,
did.
And she what? Hung up?
Yeah, there was like this silence on the phone.
What do you say? Hi, this is Gilbert.
Yes.
And that was it.
And I said, I thought it from the silence. I said she was giving me that look over the phone.
The other thing I felt was amazing in the book, you talk about when you were on Saturday Night Live. Now, I didn't know this. You auditioned for Saturday Night Live, I guess in front of Lorne Michaels.
Oh,
it wasn't Lorne
no.
Michaels.
This was Jean Doumanian.
Jean Doumanian. And she sits there in an auditorium, but she was with Woody Allen. She was good friends with Woody Allen.
Oh, yeah.
And he watched her audition.
Yeah, well, he watched, like, the tapes of all the auditions. They were like, it was like a full-day thing. Someone was there who I knew and saw this. And he's sitting there the whole time, thousands of comics going by, and he's staring stone-faced.
Right.
Not even, like, changing an expression or anything. And then finally mine comes on, and then he, like, sits up, and it looks like, oh, he's going to start, like, bursting out laughing.
He discovered a new talent, yeah.
Yeah. And he looks up, and he, like, points his finger, and he goes, is he a Navajo Indian?
And that was it?
Yeah, that was it. And then he sat back down.
Navajo Indian.
See, a Navajo Indian.
Yes.
What did you do in that audition for Saturday Night Live? Did you do
you
your
in
Groucho?
headdress?
I'll never understand
What did you do?
Did you do your Groucho at all? Did you? He would have loved that.
I know I should have, because he was friends with Groucho.
The thing I'll never understand about you and
Yes.
Saturday Night Live is you do so many great characters. This used to drive me nuts. You do, if you just for the rest of your life did Groucho and Dracula, Dracula Gottfried, and did your Dice Clay. Just those three impressions right there. Or your Jew that sings.
Oh, yes.
If you had done that, they would have. Why didn't you do characters on Saturday Night Live?
Well, no one would ever describe me as self-destructive, certainly.
But you didn't want to distinguish yourself in any way. You're like the least competitive person.
Yes.
And yet you're in a competitive business.
Yes.
I don't get it.
It makes no sense. And the funny thing is, with my Groucho imitation, like, I remember first time I did it for Dick Cavett, his mouth hung open.
It's the most fantastic thing ever. Jim Brewer, describes the same thing. When he was on Saturday Night Live, he went up to one of the interns and just kind of kidding around started doing his Joe Pesci. He said he wouldn't do his impressions. And he goes, I'm not an impressionist, and I'm a stand-up. I wouldn't do my impression. But I was kidding around with this kid, and then when he did Joe Pesci, they built the whole fucking Saturday Night Live around it.
Yes, that was what he was known for.
And you have even said...
I should have.
But of course,
yes.
And you even say... well, I'm not going to do that for Saturday Night Live. I like to save it for my stand-up. I mean, you're on TV. Here's your moment.
What did you want to do for Saturday Night Live? What was your imagining that you were going to...
I even say in the book, like, and it's true, I hated the writers hated me, and to show it,
why?
There was one sketch they wrote that takes place at a funeral, and I was the body in the coffin.
Why? But why didn't you, why did you even bother auditioning for Saturday Night Live?
God knows. And then it was weird, because I read other people's interviews about auditioning for that, where they said they were terrified and they hated everyone else in the room, and it was just driving them nuts. And I remember when I auditioned, I was like, I didn't even think about it. I was there. I wasn't even...
You didn't care.
Yeah, it didn't strike me as anything. I auditioned, they brought me back, and I auditioned again. And then when they announced to me, oh, you got the part, it wasn't like...
You weren't moved by it.
Yeah.
You didn't recognize the enormity of it, that this was where Belushi's career was launched, where it was Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy. It wasn't Eddie Murphy at that point. Yeah. But I'm saying all of these great people had these unbelievable careers, and this is your moment. It just doesn't occur to you.
Although with that season, I think it was... I remember that season, no one could believe like Saturday Night Live would continue without the original cast.
Right.
And that was like the big media thing.
But if you did a sketch on there where you were old Groucho and one of the other people on there played Dick Cavett, it would have been the biggest thing ever. You would have been as big as a Billy Crystal who went on to do movies.
Like, it is like the two biggest compliments as far as my impressions go is when Dick Cavett was amazed at my Groucho imitation because he was
it's
friends
brilliant.
with him.
When you saw Dick Cavett, you did it for him?
Yeah.
What did you do? What did you say?
I was on his show and I was going, and there's been many songs about mothers, and there's never been that many songs about fathers. And except for Harry Ruby, he was a songwriter at the time.
Dick, why did you never interrupt Groucho?
Yes.
Why is that?
And then the other greatest compliment I got was on Thick of the Night.
Alan Thicke. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I
You're
remember.
You're going to really bring up Thick of the Night?
Yes.
Well, he was a regular on Thick of the Night, Gilbert.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's up there in the catwalk. Never know when it's going to come down. He lives up there, strange man.
Alan Thicke was the best show. His big thing was you never knew who was going to come out of the catwalk.
Oh, yes.
All the characters were going to come out. And the show is a horror scene, yeah.
But one time I was doing a bit, and I started improvising, and I did a Peter Lorre imitation.
Right.
And when I got off, Vincent Price was one of the guests on the show, and he leans over and taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, I loved your Peter Lorre imitation.
What was your Peter Lorre? What did you do on there?
Oh, God. There's been a million different type. Peter Lorre seems like.
But look at the impressions you do. If you had just walked into the writers' meeting and said, hey, by the way, I do old Groucho, I do Dracula. You walk in and you know, they would have built entire bits around you. It's just, it actually drives me nuts that you don't understand this.
I know. Years later, though, I did do Dracula for Son of the Beach.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I knew a good thing when I saw it.
And a rabbi.
Yes. But, you were a rabbi who gets bitten by Dracula, and you turn into Dracula, the Jewish Dracula. That was a great show. I don't know why it didn't take off. Did you, you have a life of not distinguishing yourself. You even write in the book when you quit high school, you walked away from it. You'd go to the library every day, sit there, and the school never noticed you quit.
Yeah.
Not one of your teachers realized you were gone.
No one noticed I wasn't there.
Wow.
Does that give you this incredible, horrible self-opinion?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you have you feel like a snail in life, right?
Yes.
As if you deserve nothing.
Yes.
Right.
And also the fact that I leave school and I'm hanging out in the library. You figure if you leave school, you're going to get stoned. You're going to watch porn films.
You went to the library.
Yeah.
You don't go there. You had no one to hang out with.
I might as well have been in school.
And your parents, they weren't notified. Nobody cared. And then when they realized you left school, they were like, okay, so who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody cared about you.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's an incredible life. In fact, you talk about how you didn't distinguish yourself on Saturday Night Live in your new book, Rubber Balls and Liquor. What a name. What a distinguished title. Even
what
your
an
book,
intellectual I am.
Are you proud of I'll get to that in a second, but are you proud of the book? I mean, when people write a book, they go, wow, I'm really proud of it. Like, do you have it on your mantle? Do you have a mantle? Do you bother buying a shelf?
Do you have a chair?
Do you have the book somewhere special now that you hold it in your hands and look at it as an accomplishment?
The funny thing is, I like the way it looks. I like the cover. I like the they had a hot-looking model whose legs I sat between.
I saw the cover, yeah.
And I like that. And I like holding the book, how the book. Publishers Weekly liked it.
Did you read the book? Did you actually, after you were done, go through it all, or you just couldn't even bear to read it?
I was forced to read the book because it's like after you think it's completed and your homework, like the worst homework assignment of your life is writing this.
So you got no joy out of it?
No. And then it's like they go, okay, we got to check for any mistakes, anything you want to change. And I thought, I have to read this book again. I don't want to read other people's books. I sure as shit don't want to read mine.
Isn't that a great quote for the back of the book?
Yes.
I don't want to read this book, Gilbert Gottfried.
Yes.
So do you expect anyone to buy the book, or are you just kind of like, I don't even care if they buy the book? I mean, you're so relaxed about all of this.
Yeah.
I was shocked because you got a part in Eddie Murphy's movie.
Beverly Hills
Cop 2. Eddie Murphy worked with you on Saturday Night Live. He spent an entire year of Saturday Night Live working with you. And when he showed up on the set of Beverly Hills Cop and saw you, he goes, "Don't I know you from somewhere?"
Oh, yeah.
No. Is that true?
That's in the book.
Yes.
But yet I mean, imagine this guy worked with you for a year. This is how little you did on Saturday Night Live.
I did something about a year or two ago. Was this video of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Right.
And on it were Christopher Lloyd, who, although I'd never met him before, the both of us were the lead voices for years in the Cyber Chase cartoon. So he had to have known he was working with Gilbert Gottfried. He had to have seen me on TV. And I couldn't wait to meet him, and how excited he'd be that we finally meet, because we're the two stars of Cyber Chase for like over 10 years.
Right.
And then the other person on the show was Katie Segal, who was the wife on Married with Children, who I was literally pressed against in a life raft for an entire episode.
All right.
And when both of them walked in, I went over and I said hi, and they both looked at me like they had...
A stranger.
Yeah, like, how did he get on the studio
It's
line?
amazing. Was this your whole life that people just don't notice you? You're almost...
You're so unimpressive.
You're almost
that they
not
don't
here.
know you.
Is that why it bothered you when you were in the hospital and you were almost on death's door? You knew that no one cared.
Yeah.
I mean, no one ever cares about. I mean, Eddie Murphy worked with you for a year and said, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" I mean, it's incredible. I didn't know you were you had the job to be in the Dick Tracy movie, which at the time was a big movie.
Oh, yes.
You were going to be Mumbles, but at the last minute they went with Dustin Hoffman. That would have been a huge break.
This was one of those showbiz type stories.
Yeah.
Because it's like they were saying to me, "Oh, you're the only person we want for this.
Right.
You're the first choice when we were writing this part. We were picturing this is a Gilbert Gottfried role."
Right.
And then at the last second, my agent calls and says, "Oh, they're going with someone else." And I said, "Who are they going with?" Because I was the only person they wanted. And he goes, "Dustin Hoffman." And I think, so... Was there ever a last-second thing? Oh, who are we going to get? Like this acting legend or Gilbert Gottfried?
Did you meet with Warren Beatty? Who was the director?
Yeah, I met him. He was a fan for a short while.
Right.
And,
He almost gave you the part.
Tell Dustin Hoffman said he would do it.
Like I said in the book, the only way my name and Dustin Hoffman's name could ever be mentioned in the same breath is I've seen Gilbert Gottfried's acting, and he's no Dustin Hoffman.
Are you actually touring around, doing different appearances to promote the book?
Yeah, I'm going to be going on a tour, yeah.
Are you going to be on The View, did someone say?
Oh, yeah, that's today.
That's today you're going to go do The View?
Yes, that scares me.
Oh, my God. Those yentas are going to yell at you for making Japanese jokes.
I know.
That's the agenda. You got to know that.
Why would they yell at him?
They're going to yell at him.
Whoopi defends Robin Williams. I mean, not Robin
but
Williams.
this is Gilbert.
Mel Gibson.
Whoopi ain't defending him. Whoopi defends Mel Gibson. He might be able to do something for her. Gilbert Gottfried's book, Rubber Balls and Liquor. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yes.
Is in stores today. Gilbert, believe it or not, this is a rare opportunity. Will be signing copies of his book Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Now, usually you charge a lot of money for your signature.
Oh, yes.
In fact, you charge for everything. So you'll be there Thursday night at 7 at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square, Manhattan. And you will sign things for free, right?
Yes.
Right.
Well,
Your
no,
book.
I'll sign it if they buy the book.
Right.
Because God knows, once they hear Gilbert Gottfried, it's a mob scene.
Do you expect anyone to show up at this? And don't miss Gilbert tomorrow night at 7:30. If you go to the book signing...
Yes.
And no one is there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a complete embarrassment. 3 people show up. Will you just get up and leave, or will you sit there for the full hour that you're committed to sitting there?
Yeah. I think I'll probably pick up a book and hide my face behind it, like reading it.
The worst book signing Gary describes is he was at some bookstore. I forget who it was. There was no one there. All the employees had to go on the line and pretend to be on the line. That can be really bad.
I'm predicting that.
Yeah. Whatever goes wrong will happen to you. So you'll be on The View.
Yeah.
Why didn't you refer to Sherry Shepherd as Star Jones the entire time? Really go out in a blaze of glory. Really give it to those yentas. What are you going to wear? Are you wearing this on the show?
I guess so.
Yeah, you don't wear a jacket ever. You don't get.
Maybe, or maybe I'll wear a regular pair of slacks.
Does your wife ever say to you, "Listen, before you leave"?
She was yelling at me today.
Yeah, did she say to you? She's a gorgeous girl. Did she ever say to you, Gilbert, put a suit on?
I was throwing on my usual attire of a totally wrinkled, worn-out shirt,
right.
And she said, "No, you're not wearing that."
And do you ever take someone's like? I see Jerry Seinfeld shows up with a tie, and he always has a suit on.
My God,
he's dapper.
yes,
You will never try to upgrade your image.
I feel it's important. You owe it to your public.
To look good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my Twitter account is @RealGilbert.
And the book is called Rubber Balls and Liquor. Good luck on The View and with all your touring
yes,
around.
And there's GilbertGottfried.com. And I also have a video on Funny or Die called Too Soon.
Saw that.
Oh, yes.
Very good. Do you ever say to your wife, I love you? I'll leave you with that thought. Do you ever tell her, I love you?
No, but don't give her any ideas.
No, you never say, do you ever get emotional with her? Did you cry at the birth of your children?
Just when I'm angry.
I see. Did your wife say to you, why didn't you mention me in the book? Why didn't you talk about me at all? Yeah, and you say what?
I point to the very back of the book where I say something like, behind every great man, there's an annoying Jew bitch. Say, get back to writing the book.
The one story I didn't understand, there were two stories, actually, I wasn't sure about. And you say in the book that not every story is true. Do you say that to protect yourself legally, but they really are true?
Well, it's like I do start out stories and then I do end with like being filthy and dirty. So
I see.
Like, yeah.
Was your wife disgusted with the tsunami jokes, or was she supportive during the whole crisis?
I don't know. I think she was saying, okay, now you're going a little too far.
Right. She was scared during the whole thing.
Although when you really look at them, one day I'll have to put them out again because most of them are so just dumb.
But at the time, did you find yourself saying, like, were you trying to justify all this to your wife, going, I don't understand. After all, I make these jokes all the time. And she's like, who cares, right?
To this day, I kind of think, I have made such worse stuff. I mean, on this show in like
But were you running around the house saying that to your wife, all this rationale?
Yeah,
I can imagine what was going on there.
Where were they then? Where were they?
Oh, yeah.
Where was the outrage?
Yeah.
It says also in your book you were once on The Tonight Show and you got trapped in your dressing room?
Yes. Yeah, no, in the bathroom.
Of the dressing room. And you dug a hole through the door?
Well, yeah. It was a sliding door. It got stuck.
Yeah.
And I started tugging on it and pulling and banging. And usually when I'm sitting there trying to relax in the dressing room, there's a knock on the door every 3 seconds.
Right.
With someone. This time there wasn't. And I'm pounding and panicking. I finally get it open a little and I see a phone there.
Right.
And I reach my arm out and I'm just half an inch from the phone. So I can't get that.
This is like that movie with the rock climber who had to cut his own arm off.
Yes. And then finally I see this metal trash can there inside the bathroom. And more out of anger to make noise or something, I'm pounding on the door. And I notice it's chipping, and I see a tiny bit of light. Talk about a movie. Yeah. A tiny ray of light comes in the bathroom. Oh. And so I start pounding, and I'm cracking off more of the door, and I'm ripping the rest with my hand. I climb through a hole in the wall.
Like a dog.
Yes.
Do you think they intentionally locked you in there? Like it's a goof?
I think so.
Who knows what they did?
It became like Die Hard. Then it was like.
I have to say there was one touching story in there that I read that really moved me, where you described that there was a time in your life that you were working at a movie theater and you would time the sex scenes. You would time the sex scenes in the movie. Where was this?
I was working the concessions.
Right.
When in the theaters, when Equus.
Oh, Broadway show,
there.
right? Yeah,
and
Equus.
It was Richard Burton in the lead role, and it was Equus that was this award. And I just had it timed. There was one part where a girl gets naked on stage.
Right.
And there was like that inside alarm clock in my head where I didn't even have to pay attention. And I ran upstairs and would catch the nude scene. And
you knew exactly what time the nude scene occurred,
yes.
and you would figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Also, Gilbert describes he once worked in he was working at a club or something, and a group of Mexican guys had figured out how to climb through the rafters and watch women go to the bathroom in the bathroom.
Yeah, I had seen them. It was this really decrepit club and the backstage area was like it looked like plywood walls tacked together. It was really awful.
Yes.
And there was like these Mexicans were climbing up like rats in the crawl space between the ceiling and the top of these wobbly rooms. And finally, I'm looking at them, and they don't know how to speak English. And they, like, with a crazed smile, they invite me up. They wave their hand.
They see they got a fellow pervert.
Oh, yes. And they boost me up. And I don't even know where I'm going, why I'm following them. And we're, like, we're crawling like rats with me and a group of Mexicans. And they keep looking back and smiling at me, as I say, like, they're smiling at me in Spanish. And then finally, there's this area where they put cardboard down to be comfortable to lean down, and they
got a whole system.
Yes, they had it all set up.
They had punched holes in the ceiling there, which was easy because the ceilings were like cardboard, and the walls were shaking as we were crawling on them. And I looked. They point with a giant smile, like look in the hole, and you could see women sitting on the toilet.
And were they disgusting looking, or were they hot? I mean, did you feel
some? I mean, you're looking at the tops of.
Did you feel terrible about this?
Were you happy they had shown it to you?
I mean, because I would think this is a terrible
on?
violation to stare at women while they go to the bathroom.
I thought this is certainly something different.
Right. And so you enjoyed? Did you beat
never
off?
Reported them?
Did these guys beat off, or?
I'm sure they were. I was like getting scared because the walls were shaking, and I thought. I could just see myself crashing through the ceiling and killing some
Would you
girl.
watch the women wiping their asses? And did you find that instructional or interesting?
Well, you stay out there.
This is some book. Gilbert's book is a real rags to almost something story. It's great. All right, look, let's just say you've lived the life of a 3-year-old now for most of your life. You're a terrific guy. Gilbert Gottfried, I wish you tremendous luck with your book, Rubber Balls and Liquor. You will not be hearing him as the voice of the Affleck dog ever again. Who knows? Maybe they'll come back to you.
How did it feel when you saw every comedian on earth being offered an opportunity to get your job?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that shows how everyone the respect.
Yeah, they really care about you. Sometimes people go, I'm not auditioning. I'm in support of Gilbert. Gilbert, leave us with one final Japanese victims joke, if you will. You're so well known for that. But better yet, don't leave it, Willie.
Yeah, okay.
You're going to do the View, huh?
Oh, yeah.
They're just going to yell at you, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know about that. Well, Joy will be...
Joy will defend you as a comedian.
Yes.
And then Elizabeth
I think
Hasselbeck
he's
will just beat you up.
disgusting. No, she goes, I think he's disgusting. I don't agree with what he did, but he is a comedian. I will defend that.
Yeah, that way you could be on both sides of the fence at once.
Or Barbara will just take on that queenish tone. So, Gilbert.
She probably won't even be there.
And then even comics who defended me, I saw them doing that work.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was disgusting and wrong, but he does have a right.
Right,
and I thought,
great.
Come on.
How about he's a comedian? Who gives a fuck?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
funny. It's jokes. He's trying to make it be humorous. Good luck. Good luck with the book, Gilbert.
Oh, thank
Gilbert,
Yes.
Rubber Balls and Liquor.
Yes.
It's really a story of triumph when you think about it.
Yes. It's a story. It was the original Rubber Balls and Liquor was written by John Steinbeck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you consider any alternate titles to?
Yeah. It was originally going to be called Gag Reflex, and so I thought that's good because it's a blowjob joke. That sounds. But I thought Rubber Balls and Liquor was even more disgusting and immature.
Really encompass the full Gilbert Gottfried story.
Is there any way they could order out for cupcakes while I'm here?
Yeah, you picked the wrong day. You're one day early.
Just so I could spit in them or put my dick in them or something.
Do you want to come back tomorrow just to do that?
Yeah, I might.
You should get your own cupcake at
Yes.
called I Stuck It in the Cupcake.
Yes.
Now, Gilbert, you highlight a particular story of an encounter you had while in the hospital with Howard.
Yes. He reads the whole thing, and it's funny. It's like these
I've been on Howard like more times than Howard has, I think. And yet in the book, I have a mention for like about half a page or something.
And it's not the most complimentary story
Yes.
you tell them. You make them.
Well, that's the way I talk. Yes.
He's a bastard of a friend that
Oh,
didn't want to really
yes.
be in the hospital. Well, I hope many show up at your signing, and best of luck.
Yes, thank you.
I hope this story of triumph continues.
Yes, and I got a free bottle of water out of it.
Till the next time when you can spit in some cupcakes.
Okay, Wheels, go ahead.
I was going to say Gilbert was awesome yesterday listening to the playback. You were laughing like almost crying laughing.
Well, when Gilbert does that impression of Groucho, the old Groucho, which is the one I'm interested in.
The best.
Because I remember that as a kid watching Groucho on like Dick Cavett show, and he was fucking 900 years old, and he would just go into these long stories, and Dick Cavett was hanging on every word, and meanwhile they were long, boring stories.
Well, all of them used to do that.
Yeah.
You know, even Johnny Carson and Merv Griffin,
Right.
they so respected him
They
that
would let
they
him bore
wouldn't
everyone.
interrupt him.
Yeah. I know. I've had that experience on the radio where there's someone who's of great importance comes in, and then they don't really say anything. But
Or their timing's gone, and
Right.
the stories don't have an ending.
And the fact that Gilbert does an impression of that is just the funniest thing
Yeah.
to me. I mean, all of his impressions are funny. But I got a weird thing going on with Gilbert, and I don't know really. I'm going to have to deal with it.
What's the weird thing?
The weird thing is that the last time Gilbert was here, when Gilbert leaves and when any guest leaves, there's always cameras on. We have Howard TV, Howard 100 News. They go out there and they ask a few questions. And I guess the last time Gilbert was on, the last time before this, he went out in the hall and he started spitting on all the cupcakes that we eat here.
Yes.
And it was really disgusting because, first of all, we get these beautiful cupcakes, and, you know, the staff really looks forward to them. So he would, like, spit on, and it was really gross. I didn't think it was particularly funny, but okay.
He was
did it
trying
one-
to do some shtick for the camera.
Right, I got that. Well, this time he leaves. He walks out, and I don't want to see the clip, guys, because I'll throw up.
What did he do?
He walked out, and he just started spitting all over the walls and spitting everywhere.
For old time's sake.
Oh, no.
Clean that up.
Clean that up, please.
And, you know, my first reaction is he must really be angry with me. I mean, not on any conscious level, but he must just be really depressed and angry because it's like spitting on me, you know? It's completely disrespectful. I know he'd probably say I was just trying to be funny, but you're kind of... It feels like a disrespect to me.
You got to throw him out, Howard. That is.
Is he
what did
spitting
Mambo Man
at
do?
The Tonight Show?
No.
Is he spitting at Letterman?
No, and he didn't spit at The View the other day either.
Right, okay.
Howard, it was so disgusting.
What was he doing exactly?
I didn't see it, but I just saw when it was done. There was one right where we keep the cupcakes, you know, where we put all the food out. There was a big one there, and there was a big one on the wall, and then there was a big one on the ground. And it was one of those ones. I'm not, I don't want to gross you up, but like it had color. You know what I mean? So like you couldn't miss it.
So he's hawking loogies. He's
Yeah,
not,
and it was just, it was,
Ugh.
and
I'm gonna
like,
throw up.
And when I found out about it, like Tim was livid.
Well, Tim's right. I mean, you know, because Tim told me they had to call a special cleaning crew in to
Of
clean it.
course.
And
You
someone
don't
had
just wipe that up.
Yeah, somebody had to clean that shit.
Tim
and
goes,
you know
"This is
what?
bullshit."
And you want to talk about being elitist? That's horseshit. I mean, a woman has to come in and get on her hands and knees with gloves and clean that.
Yeah, with special chemicals.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel some compassion for the person who's going to have to clean up your mess. I mean, how do you think you get rid of that shit? And, you know, to me, I have compassion for that person. That's not an easy way to make a living.
Yeah, but there's absolutely no reason for that. That's not funny.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't get the joke at all. I didn't.
Right.
I mean, I knew that he thought it was weird that, like, when he spit in the cupcakes, I didn't think that was funny.
I didn't either, but okay, it happened once. I think he was trying to go for something.
And
You
at
know,
least
it
the
didn't
But,
work.
I mean, the spit bit he should drop.
And at least the
Yeah.
cupcakes are something in a box you can take and throw in the garbage. This was really
Yeah,
like
this is
on
all-
our stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Is that why he hasn't been in a long time?
Why not just come in and shit on the floor?
Hey, take a
Maybe he's
piss.
planning to.
I don't think he wants to show his dick. But yeah, it was pretty gross, and
Well, that's sad.
yeah. So I think
He's another one of those guys. You know, you're having that discussion with him yesterday about his inability to capitalize on his own talents.
Right.
And he says, well, nobody's ever said I wasn't self-destructive. And there you go.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
All right. Thanks, Wheels.
I love you, buddy.
All right. Bye.